Hey YouTube, it's Mithion here. It's been a little while since I've posted a video. Kind of took a little bit of a break from modding and just getting back into it now, working on the 1.2 release of AM2. So I got some fun stuff in the works that I am just way too excited to not show off. So if you guys don't mind a little bit of work in processness, some placeholder textures and some altogether missing textures, then check out the following video, see what's in store, and if you do mind that, well, you've been warned. Stop watching now. Alright, here we go. First thing you'll notice is that the Inscription Table UI is vastly different, but not so much. The part where you create the spell, anyways, is quite a bit different. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you what is possible with these 5 boxes plus one underneath. You can do something like projectile, projectile AoE, projectile wall, and touch. And I'm going to put lightning damage and knockback in there. Perfect. And we'll name it something, because I'm not creative right now. So, it's going to do that. So, the process of naming and changing the icon is very much the same. That's why I skimmed right over it. But what you'll notice is while I'm holding this spell, where my casting mode would normally be, there is something else. It shows it as a projectile. Now, casting modes are gone. They're a thing of the past. They don't exist anymore. And what they've been replaced with, if I press the C key, is that it actually changed. And you'll notice the icon down there is different too. And when I fire the spell, lo and behold, it changes what it does. And of course the third one does the effect. So what you can do is you can have spells that do different things. They still apply the same effects, but they apply them in different ways in one spell. Each spell will remember what it was on. So if I switch away and switch back to it, press C a couple times, nothing happens, it will remember it. So you can kind of set your defaults and then have your edge cases that you don't use too often. Another thing I'd like to point out is that any old spell created pre-1.2 still works. So I created this before I wrote the spell changes today, and it is a classic haste spell. So if I go ahead and clear all this out and pop haste in there, you'll see that it is the old style of definition, and it still works. So all of your old spells will not need to be rewritten. However, they will not be able to be used in some of the new features, such as being able to rewrite and modify spells. But I'll get to that another time. Oop. No rain. Go away. The other thing I want to point out is Wizard's Chalk. This is something that I've been working on, and you can draw on the ground with it. It just has various shapes. They're random. The shapes don't really mean anything, but the shape that you draw on the ground with Wizard's Chalk does matter. So if I cast this Run Like the Wind spell, you'll see that it lasts for about 10 seconds. But if I were to take some glowstone, throw it into this chalk, stand in the middle, and miss, awesome, you'll notice that the glowstone disappears and the buff now lasts for 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So rituals, in at least one of their uses, are a good way to extend your buffs for a slight reagent cost. They still work as kind of a quick and dirty magic, but the premise is that prepared magic is always a little bit more powerful. Something else that I want to show you guys are the obelisk. Now this is just a placeholder texture. It's just kind of messing around with it. I will let Demiurge get a hold of this and do something that actually looks good. And you can see my lovely placeholder UI. What you can do with these is, this is replacing the neutral nexus. So basically it's like a magical furnace. It burns liquid essence, and you can see the power going up. But it can also burn Vintium dust, and you'll see the power going up there too. So you don't need to find liquid essence, though it's kind of like coal versus lava. Liquid essence is way more efficient and you'll get a ton more power out of it. So it's still worth finding, but it's not absolutely necessary. Something else that you can do involving rituals, if you draw the right shape around an obelisk in kind of a plus sign, you'll get the Ritual of Purification. I'm just going to toss down the candles here and grab the... Now, the rituals basically involve casting the right spell with the right candle placement, chalk placement, the perfect conditions, but you can do some pretty cool stuff. For example, I can take this obelisk and perform this ritual and turn it into the Celestial Prism, which has replaced the light nexus. This just generates power in a similar way. However, it and the obelisk can be upgraded, for one, by putting Wizard's Chalk all the way around it, and there are other upgrades too that I'll let you guys check out in the compendium on your own once this releases. There is another ritual as well, and it goes like this. I'll just draw it out real quick. Place the candles. This is the Ritual of Corruption. Now, you do well to actually memorize these rituals, and yes, I do have them memorized, because they are used in more than just this. So this exact same ritual is used in other places in the mod, so you do well to remember at least these 3 rituals once you start playing. Cast your simple fire projectile spell, and you get the Black Aurum, which is essentially the Dark Nexus. So if I were to grab a pig or something, you'll see that in very much the same way it grabs it, pulls it above, and zaps it into power. So that is also upgradable with Wizard's Chalk in much the same way. So these are all rather efficient just as one block. So you can kind of have your normal setup. They don't take up as much space as they used to. It does not have to be a 5x5. You need a little bit of space to set them up initially, but you can kind of have them compact. However, the upgrades do make them significantly better, but you won't be wanting for power per se for simplistic starts. So it's going to be much more scalable. Something else I'd like to point out is that you can now have multiple Celestial Prism, Black Aurum, or Obelisks powering a single device. For example, you could have a Calefactor powered by 5 of these, or 10, or 20, or however many you want. Something else to note, though, is that you can actually have multiple types of power going into the same block. So you could have light, neutral, dark power going into the same block. And in fact, some of the more advanced machines in the works require that. So some might require neutral and dark power to function, which is kind of cool. It opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. The API also allows modders to register their own types of power and ways to generate it and ways to use it, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of creative freedom there too. And just as a side note about the API, you can also register other burnables in the obelisk for fuel. So if you want more things than liquid essence and Vintium dust, you can add them using the API, which is awesome. And the last thing that I think I'm going to show you is a feature that is so work in process, it doesn't even have a texture yet. It is the Ender Boots. And I'm going to just put them on. And they're an item I just decided I'd play around with. But what they let you do is, say you come up to something like this, and you're like, well, hey, I can't jump that. I don't really have a jump spell. Well, if you're wearing the Ender Boots and you shift jump, you reverse gravity. So I'm now walking on the ceiling. And I can jump, and I can walk around like normal and everything, and I fall. You fall upwards, and falling damage is a thing, and yeah. Shift space once you're solidly on a roof or ceiling or something brings you back down, so you can walk on the ceiling. It's pretty cool. Falling upward can cause damage. Anyways, that's just a little preview of some of the features that are going to be coming in 1.2. It's still a little ways out. I'm sure you can see it's not very polished yet, but the functionality is starting to take shape. So another little announcement I wanted to add is I've recently brought on another developer to work on Ars Magica 2 with me. His name is Zero Daimaru, and he's going to be helping out with some of the other features that I'm not quite ready to reveal yet, but it does involve, for example, a replacement to the sigil system. So he's going to be helping me out, and I'm very excited to be working with him. So welcome aboard, Zero Daimaru. Anyways, that concludes our little preview for now, so I hope to release some more soon. And for now, bye!